Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Jenn Drummond. Jenn Drummond is a mom of 7, successful business owner, and world record holder. As the first woman to climb the 7 second highest summits on each of the 7 continents, she now spends her time inspiring others to create a thriving business and a lasting legacy of their own. She shares her story and strategies for success through her book, Quit Proof: 7 Strategies to Build Resilience and Achieve Your Life Goals. And Seek Your Summit podcast, programs, and signature talks. Learn more about how she elevates devoted and determined entrepreneurs to go beyond a life of success to a life of significance at jenndrummond.com. It was such a delight to interview Jenn. She inspired me to no end. Once I saw she was going to be on the podcast, I had looked everything up about her. Love her posts on her Instagram where she's at the top of her summit, her mountain, and it's freezing cold out, and she's doing the happy dance because she made it to the top of her summit, her mountain. And we can all make it to the top of our dreams. We just have to choose to go after them. So today we talk about why you want to fully commit when you're going after your mountain, when you're going to climb your mountain, how important it is to be fully committed, not half in, half out. And we talk about setting goals and how the goal is not really the goal. It's really the things that happen on the way to the goal that really change your life and really matter. Jenn talks about her story of being in a car accident and how that changed her life, and why we should cast our vision deeper and wider, how to set yourself up for support and how important that is, and mastering your mindset, flipping that switch to the positive, how to reframe the negative. It was so good today. You guys are going to enjoy Jenn. Her energy is electric. And I hope this motivates and inspires everybody when a mom of 7 climbs the hardest 7 summits out there. So tune in, make sure you get her book, Quit Proof, and let me know what you thought of this on Instagram, DM me, or I love a review. And as always, you guys, let me know what resonated with you. Let's dive into this episode without further ado. I am excited to welcome Jenn Drummond to the Sisterhood of Sweat today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Well, I mean, I'm lucky to catch you, right? Because you've been out climbing 7 second summits. What is a what is a second summit? What is that?
Yes, I had to ask the same question when I first got into this. So the 7 second summits are the second highest point on each of the 7 continents. Lots of 7s in there, right? So a lot of people think, well, why does it matter that you climb the second highest point? Don't you want to climb the first highest point? But actually the seconds are harder than the first, which is why they hadn't been done by a female before until I took on the quest, and it's been done by 1 male. So I just finished June 1st of 2023.
Oh my gosh, that is quite a stellar accomplishment. I want to applaud you today. And when you answered my question, because my next question was, why don't you want to climb the first? So now I realize that the second summit is harder than the first. I love that. Now you had a you had an accident. Can you tell the audience about why this car accident changed your life and kind of led to the summit climbing?
Yeah. So I'll give you a little background. I was a financial advisor, owned a firm, hired myself out of a position, and became a stay-at-home mom because that's what I was told would be the dream situation. And by all means, I loved being stay-at-home for a while, but then my kids got older and all of a sudden what am I doing with my time? What should I be interested in? How do I still be available for them and still do me? And I kind of sold myself on this concept that once I launched my kids into college, then I could get back into some passions and some things that I liked. But right now I was in the sisterhood of motherhood, right? And then 2018 in December, I was in a horrific car crash. I was driving home from a nearby town and I came up onto a semi really fast because the semi was going slow. I went to get into the lane to go around him. He started bumping into that lane and his second trailer hit my passenger side and it sent me end over end. So I did 3 front flips and then the car started spinning sideways and finally ended up in the median. And I just remember holding on to the steering wheel thinking, okay, I'm going to get hit by another car. I'm going to get hit by another car. This is insane. And instead, luckily, a human came and peeled back the windshield and he's like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I was just kind of coming aware of the sounds and everything outside of me. And I met eyes with him. And I was like, I don't think I'm okay based on what you're looking at me like. And I was too afraid to find out. So I closed my eyes and I remember wiggling my fingers and toes. Like, I can feel my fingers and toes. I can feel my fingers and toes. I'm okay. I'm okay. And that accident just made me reset and made me question my beliefs. Like, do I need to put my life on hold? What happens if I would have died today? What would my resume say? What is my obituary going to look like? And I realized I had a ton of things that I still wanted to do. And I was living under this impression like we have forever. We don't have forever. Like our life can end at any moment. And that's when I really started to live by this principle that I don't get to choose when I die, but I sure get to choose how I live. And I want to start choosing how I live every day instead of like waiting for the proverbial perfect moment for XYZ thing to happen.
That's pretty profound. I love that. I'm definitely going to have to put that as a quote because I think when you have like a one sentence like that, that just really cuts through the muck of everything else, it speaks loud to everyone listening, back to yourself every time that you doubt you should be doing something. And I just think that it's so profound, like how we're going to live versus, you know, we all are going to die, but you chose how you're going to live. And we each have that choice. So how did you move forward then after that?
Yeah. So the unique circumstance for me as well at this time was about 4 to 5 weeks after the accident, I got a phone call from a girlfriend's husband. And he let me know that she passed away.
Oh my
Like, what do you mean
goodness.
she passed away? He's like, she went out for a run on a trail that you and I would push a stroller down. So we're not talking any crazy trails. She went out for a run. It was wet. She slipped, hit her head, died instantly. And so this sequence of events, like I just survived this horrific car accident. She did something healthy and like never got to come home. My life was turned upside down. Like, why was I saved? Why wasn't she? What's the purpose? What am I supposed to do here? And so 2019 became this big year of questioning and reflection. And what does this mean? And what do I want to make it to mean? And I just remember thinking, okay, I'm going to break my life into decades. What can I do in my 40s that I can't do in my 80s as easily? Or what can I do in my 50s that are easier to do than in my 90s? And I started making this huge bucket list of places I wanted to see, people I wanted to meet, things I wanted to try, like all these things. I'm like, if I died, here's things that I want to do. And on that list was climb a mountain. I live in Park City, so I'm by ski resort mountains all the time, but I'm like, I want to climb a big mountain. And I had asked a couple friends in mountaineering, if you could climb one mountain in the whole world, what mountain would that be? And the general consensus was a mountain named Ama de Blanc, which is located in Nepal. And it's the Paramount Pictures logo. So if you're listening, you can kind of maybe picture it there. And the name of the mountain means mother's necklace. Well, I have 7 kids. So I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Like, I'm going to climb Ama de Blanc. So I start training for Ama de Blanc. 2020 happens, and we all have all of our plans disrupted because of COVID. And all of a sudden now I'm a homeschool teacher to 7 children. And one day my son is complaining about his math homework. I'm like, listen, buddy, we do hard things. You've got this. And he looks me straight in the face and he goes, Mom, if we do hard things, why are you climbing a mountain called I'm a Dumb Blonde instead of a real mountain like Mount Everest? And I'm like, are you being funny or is that really what you're hearing? I go, it's called Ama de Blanc, honey, not I'm a Dumb Blonde, but cute. Finish your homework. We'll look at Everest. And so he finished his homework. We looked at Everest. He went to bed. And then I thought about it more. I'm like, maybe I should climb Everest. We get this one chance at life. If Everest is this big all be all goal, if I climb Everest, my son's going to believe that he can climb Everest. And so by the end of the week, I had a coach hired that was going to help me train for AMA and Everest. And then this coach gave me a book to read to train to be an uphill athlete. And in the front of the book, there was this narrative of a lady who got a Guinness World Record for doing something in the Alps. And all I remember reading that was, I could have done that. Like, I could suffer and I would have got a Guinness World Record. And my kids learned how to read on Guinness World Records. And maybe I'd be the cool mom, because this homeschooling thing is not really working out for me on the cool factor by any means. And so then my coach comes back to me and says, hey, Jen, I've got the perfect world record. I'm like, okay, fine, but I'm not like growing pumpkins or speed eating hot dogs, so whatever. And he came up with the 7-second summit quest. He's like, listen, hasn't been done by a woman. It's harder than the first 7. Only 1 male's completed it. And you got to think about it. 7 continents, 7 mountains, 7 kids. Sounds like a jackpot. And there you go. I'm like, all right, let's look at it. Let's see what happens.
See, you were open to it. And I don't know if you would have been before.
No, not at all. 100% no.
7 kids. Oh, let's talk about that for a second.
I know.
So 7. And how old are they?
Yeah. So my oldest is 16 and my youngest are 10. So I have 5 boys and then twin daughters at the end.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. And
it is.
So you have climbed now 7 seconds. I thought it's not 7 seconds, I'm sure.
Yeah. Right. No, and I did climb like some of the first mountains to train for some of the other ones. So for example, I climbed Mount Everest, which is the tallest mountain in the world. K2 is the second tallest. And so I climbed Everest first to train for K2 because K2 is that much more extreme than what Everest is. And then in some of the other areas, when I was in Antarctica, you would climb the highest point, which is Mount Vinson first, because it allowed you to acclimatize and get used to the less oxygen in the air. And then we went to go climb Mount Tyree, which was the second highest point there.
That's super cool. And with this climbing though, had you ever climbed a mountain before Everest?
So I did climb the Grand Teton in Jackson Hole. When I first moved to Park City, I climbed with some friends, the Grand Teton. And I just remember, like, I loved the experience. I loved the time outdoors. I loved the sense of accomplishment.
Right.
I loved that nobody was saying mom for the entire day, right? Just like all the little things that add up. And so when I got into the car accident, I was like, oh, I really enjoyed mountains. I'm going to climb a bigger mountain. It was never Everest or whatever, but I'm like, it's cool to have done Everest by all means, but it wasn't the goal at the beginning.
I love that so much. Why do you say that you must fully commit or don't climb the mountain?
Yes. Okay. So sometimes when you're climbing mountains, you come to a point where you have to commit. Like if you can't go backwards from that point forward. Once you commit, you're going all the way to the top and then you're coming down because there's no safe way off another way. And when you make that commitment, then you're all in and all your energy is putting forth on how to summit the mountain. And so whether you're climbing physical mountains like I have, or metaphorical mountains like we encounter every day,
Yeah.
right? It's a different, when you commit to the commitment, now you're not wasting any energy on other scenarios. All your energy is put into how do I make this thing happen? Because going backwards is not an option. And I just feel that lesson plays out for us and makes so much more possible in our lives when we commit to the commitment.
Yeah, because I find that to be true with anything in life that you do. If I do a competition, I've got to commit fully. I can't half commit and be half with my feet in the pool and half without. You got to jump fully in the pool and immerse yourself if you want to achieve a goal. Like, you can't be half-assing it. You have to put your whole ass in all the way and go for it, because otherwise you're wasting half your energy, like you said.
Right.
So
Right. And then you don't accomplish as much. And even when you're building a team. So one of the mountains that I climbed is called Mount Logan. It's located in North America. So the highest point's Denali. Mount Logan's the second highest point in Canada. And the first attempt that we went, we had terrible weather. Everything was kind of going sideways, but it just made everything longer. So we had budgeted 3 weeks for this expedition. And if had we wanted to summit, it was going to take 4 weeks. Well, I was under the impression that everybody on the team was hoping that it took 3 weeks, but we budgeted 4 weeks. Well, one of the guides on the team did not budget 4 weeks. He only budgeted 3 weeks. So then when we started running into all these delays and it was time to like wait out one more storm, he's like, we're not waiting this out. We're done. I'm like, what do you mean we're done? He's like, I budgeted 3 weeks. That's all I'm giving you. And I'm done. I'm like, well, you never made that clear on the front end. I wouldn't have picked you if that was the case, because getting done with this mountain in 3 weeks is actually kind of lucky. And so I realized, like, when you're doing these big goals and you have teams that you're building around it, you need to make sure you know their commitment level as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. That was actually a good analogy for that, because if you need the team surrounding you, I mean, you got to build your own support system, and everybody needs to have the same level of commitment, especially for something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So how can we master our own summit? Like, I'm sure you've learned tons of lessons from doing these hard feats. Like, how can we translate you mastering one of these mountains into our own lives?
Yeah. I wrote a book, believe it or not, on this topic. So I wrote a book titled Quit Proof: 7 Strategies to Build Resilience and Achieve Your Life Goals. And what I did is I kind of recalled all the different experiences I had on the mountain and then took lessons from those experiences so that you can apply them to your everyday life, because our life is always climbing mountains, right? We always set this goal and it's an uphill pursuit. You can't stay in your comfort zone to make that thing achieved. And so I broke these into different areas. One of them is commit to the commitment. One of them is build your community. One of them is own your awesome. Like, you really need to own your strengths and who you are and play to those and subcontract out the things that you are not, so that you can always stay in your zone of genius. And when we're in our zone of genius, we can go so much longer, right? Like, if I like what I'm doing, I can do it for a long period of time. If I don't like what I'm doing, I'm going to fatigue prematurely. And then I don't get to bring my goal or my mountain to the summit.
So what you said about mastering your zone of genius,
Yeah.
I truly do believe in that, which would be focusing on your strengths and then hiring out what you're not good at. Because if you're doing what you're not good at, you're wasting some of your energy that you could focus on your strength, but you're probably also not going to enjoy it. Like you said, you're going to burn out.
Yeah. I'll give you an example on the mountain. So we were, again, Mount Logan. This mountain's been my devil. So it's so nice to summit it when we summited this year. But when we were on it the first year, we were in this horrific snowstorm. However, I was wearing goggles that had a pink lens to them because you normally use a pink lens when the light's low to give you more contrast. So I'm wearing these pink lensed glasses and there's snow blowing around and all this kind of stuff. And my brain is writing this story of I'm in a cotton candy machine and cotton candy is blowing all the way around. And like, I can almost taste the sugar in my mouth. And then the rope that I'm attached to the guide in front of me with those glasses on looks like a watermelon rind, right? So I'm like thinking of the song my kids sing of watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high. So I'm like excited. I'm skiing with the mountain with everybody on my team. We have an alarm go off to make sure that we eat because you can forget to eat at altitude. So the alarm goes off. We all stop. We go to like get our snacks out and I bump my goggles. And all of a sudden, all my energy is zapped. And I go to my neighbor. How long have we been in this snowstorm? Are you kidding me? Like, is it safe for us to continue? Should we stop? Should we set up camp here? What are we doing? And my partner on the team was like, where have you been? This has been like this for the last hour. What's the matter with you? Are you kidding me right now? And it made me realize like, when we're not doing something we like, our energy gets zapped so fast. And it went this quickly because all of a sudden my perception changed into what was going on. And I encourage you when you're doing your pursuit, whatever that is, if you're feeling zapped of energy, one, you either need to get rid of the task or you need to change your perspective on what you're doing to make it more enjoyable, fun, and regain your energy back.
And I like that because that is so true about the perception, how you're perceiving what you're doing. And I think you can reframe a lot of things with gratitude because sometimes I think our mindset can flip where we start being, maybe we get up on the wrong side of the bed, we're negative, we're kind of grouchy. But like if you start trying to flip that mindset switch and start thinking about what you're grateful for, thinking about what you're looking forward to, all of those things can completely change the perception you're having, but also your entire day.
100%.
Entire, like,
yeah, no, I have this red light by my house. And I'm on the short side where we get out onto the road. So I get the red light more often than the other way does. And every day I hit that red light, I used to be grumpy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hit the red light again. The red light doesn't care that I hit it. The red light's just doing its job. I'm the only one who's moody about the light being red. Finally, one day I had this aha moment. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to turn this red light into my gratitude list. So every single time I hit this red light, I'm going to start going through all the things that I'm grateful for. And that changed the experience for me at the red light. Now I can be having a crazy busy day and I'll hit the light green. I'll be like, darn, I wanted to go through my gratitude and just slow down for a second.
See, that's a great shift. And I love that. Everybody should be having one of those red light moments because when you're focusing on good things, more good things come to you. And I think when we're focused on negative, and it gets you in a downward spiral and you have to almost like snap a band or flip that switch and realize we draw to us what we're focusing on. So if you're being negative all day, it almost like is a downward spiral.
Yeah, definitely.
So I love that. I love this. So tell me, why do you say understand the goal is not the goal? And I have a take on that, but I am very interested in yours.
Okay, so this has played out in my life a few different times. And one of the most significant times is when we climbed Mount Everest. We got to the top of Mount Everest, and because it was a really cold, windy day, we were up there for maybe 5 minutes. Okay, I had spent a year training. I'd been on the side of the mountain for 3 weeks. I'd been trekking up this thing and down this thing, and peeing in holes versus toilets and like all the things, right? That if I did that entire quest for the 5 minutes on the summit, I missed the whole point. And so it's understanding that the goal that we have sets us on a journey forward, and that journey is what makes our lives. And so sometimes we might set goals, and it might be, oh, I'll give you an example. I was getting my pilot's license, and I wanted to become a pilot because I flew on a friend's private plane, and it was an amazing experience. And so I wanted to have that again. So I started taking pilot classes. Almost halfway through, I was like, I don't really think this is for me anymore. I don't really like to the entire time you're flying, you're scanning the environment for problems. You're checking the instruments if there's problems. You're trying to figure out where you'd land if something goes wrong with this plane. Like, it's not this, oh, look at this beautiful scenery. It's if something goes wrong, how are we going to fix it? And where do we safely land? Well, then I would come home from flight class, and then I'd be scanning my environment for problems at my house. You have 7 children. There's a lot of problems all the time. And I'm like, this isn't the mentality that I want to have. It was really hard for me to flip the script and get out of that. So I decided, you know what? Being a pilot isn't the best use of me and who I am as a person. So I quit that pursuit. But the goal of becoming a pilot taught me so much about myself that it was still a worthy goal.
Oh my gosh, I really love that, because the truth is, somebody might look at some of the things that we do as frivolous when we set a goal.
Right.
Like when I do a bikini competition or a fitness figure, whatever, you can look at that in the way of only seeing it as like a frivolous goal. But it teaches you so much about yourself, like getting out of your comfort zone, how to be disciplined, believing in yourself, realizing you were worthy before you ever stepped on that stage, that a trophy doesn't declare your worth, and that it's like a whole journey of developing self-confidence and showing yourself you can do something that you never thought you could do. And so I think, like what you said, the goal is not the goal. And I think it's like that in so many things that we achieve or that we strive after. Like when I went for the cover of a magazine, I learned it was my why. Why did I want to be on the cover? And when my why was about reaching other women to empower them, that they are worthy of living out their biggest dreams and to have confidence, then the magazine cover showed up. And I think just like recognizing, well, why do you have the goal? And also, when you're on that journey, recognizing all of the growth that happens, that's the goal. The goal is what happens on the journey, not like reaching, like, I'm sure it was ultra cool though to reach the top of that summit. I can just, I cannot imagine. But like, I think when you reach the top of the goal, it is ultra cool, but it's so like, it's done, it's over. And it's the journey that remains with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, even when you're on the mountain, you don't remember the easy times. You remember the times where you had to grit your teeth or overcome, or like, I was afraid of heights. So when I was climbing Everest and you had to go through the ice field, which means you had to walk on these ladders across these huge crevasses that you couldn't even see the bottom of, it took a lot of mental fortitude for me to go from one side to the other side. And that's what I remember. I remember overcoming that. And that gives me so much confidence and strength in anything else that I do today. And so it's really understanding, hey, these setbacks that feel heavy or these obstacles that feel hard, when we look back on these 5 years from now or 2 years from now or 10 years from now, those are the things we remember.
I love that you said that about the height, because I remember being on the skywalk at the Grand Canyon, like a fly on the wall. I talked my whole family into going. And then I got there and I got scared because I was afraid of heights. And they're all out there on the skywalk, the glass sheer drop to the bottom of the canyon. And I literally had to talk to myself. And the talk was, if you can do this, then you're going to scale to new heights because you are deathly afraid of this. And this is a height. Like this is,
Yeah.
and I think like getting over that fear, I finally like walked the parameter. I pressed my face to the glass, even though I will tell you, I was terrified.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I did it, but I did it
Yeah.
sweating, gripping as tightly as I could, breathing like, like hyperventilating, right? But whatever, I got through it. We're done. It's over. We're free. We're here. I'm still alive. Life is good.
And because you got over that fear, because I think so many things could be like that fear of heights where we're just deathly afraid of the new heights we're going to in our life. And you could translate what you learned on the mountain into new heights in your life and not being afraid, because we can be afraid at each new like summit or each new height that we climb to.
Yeah, definitely.
So why do you say that we should cast our vision wider and deeper?
Yeah. So it's the whole thing of I set out for Ama de Blanc, and then the universe, I feel, nudged me to go further. So then my son brought up Everest, and then my coach expanded it to the whole globe and a record that hadn't been achieved by a female before. And the whole thing is like, if the nice thing about setting that world record was a female hadn't done it before. So if I failed, no one cared. Like, okay, well, it's never been done. Of course you failed. Like, no big deal. And so when I had that goal that big, it allowed me to be playful and have fun in the pursuit because I wasn't judging myself or expecting something from myself. I was just allowing it to be what it was. And sometimes we need to have these big, wide, deep goals because that's what allows us to take the next step forward. If I'm going to climb Everest, I can't skip my workout. If you're going to go be in a bikini
That's right.
competition,
Yeah.
you can't skip. Like, you can't all of a sudden carb load. Like, you're going to blow up the whole thing. And so when you set your goal big enough that every step forward helps and the littlest thing sets you back, it makes you take it serious. Like, it becomes a part of who you are, and you can't, like you said, you jump your whole butt in the pool.
You're more motivated when you're
Yeah.
going after what you really want in life. You're more motivated. When you set a small goal that doesn't really light you up, you don't go for it as hard, and you really put yourself out on the line when you decide to jump fully in after your dreams. And it's crazy, but you think like these things that you thought were big before, like the first mountain. I
Right.
want to say I'm a dumb blonde, but when you were going to climb that one, right? But look what you did. I think we're always thinking too small. We're dreaming too small because as soon as you do one thing, you're like, oh my gosh, I could have done this. I could do so much more. Oh my gosh, I didn't
Right.
know I could do that. What else can I do? What else could I set my sights on?
Yeah. Yeah. And the reality is we have this one life. Like, who cares if you fall and fail at every single thing you do? Look how much stuff you got to experience. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It matters that you get to have the experience. And I think we just need to focus more on what that experience is and what we're looking to get out of it versus did I achieve or not achieve?
And like, I know what you say about like putting yourself like on the line where you couldn't skip your workout or it sets you back. And right now I have a lofty goal. At 60 I'm going to be on another cover, but I'm not going to say what it is yet. But did I like, wow, did I, when I saw who the photographer was going to be, did I start like buckling down and eating right and working out? Like, I'm
Right.
like, how much can I work out?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it changes everything because you put sweat in the game. because you fully commit to, I think, a bigger goal, because you know that you can't reach it. You don't know if you're going to reach it, but you know if you don't fully commit, you can't.
Right. Right. It demands all of you.
So when you decided to do this mountain,
Mhm.
was your family supportive? Was everybody in, or did you get any pushback from anyone?
Oh, 100% I got pushback, but I didn't get pushback from my children. I got pushback from my parents, right?
Oh, okay.
Right. That I got pushback. Well, what are you doing? This isn't okay. Like, what happens if something happens to you? Blah, 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 blah. And my kids are like, sounds cool. I was worried about my kids. I was going to be gone for a long period of time. I'd never been gone for 3 weeks before. And so I went to the school and I told the school, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go climb Everest. I just wanted you to know my mom's coming into town. We have a nanny, but the kids might be a little sensitive. So please be aware. And the school got behind me and said, oh my God, this is amazing. Why don't you come in and teach the kids about goal setting? And then we can track you while you're at Everest.
Oh my
So I
gosh.
went in, I
That's
did
so
these like
cool.
little hikers, and everybody said what their Everest goal was. And then they put a big mountain in the front of the school, and I was a little hiker, and every day they'd move me up or down the mountain depending on where I was. And now all of a sudden, this goal became super cool because everybody checked in on my kids. My kids felt like, oh my gosh, my mom's doing something cool. Look how much the community is getting behind it. And so when I summited Everest, it was great, but it was more empowering because I knew all these little kids were watching. And I wanted them to know like their Everest was possible, whatever that was, whatever they put on that hallway. And when we involve our family or our close ones and we say, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's how you can help. Here's how you can be a part of it. All of a sudden, all that negativity or that like you shouldn't or you should, what that all disappears. There's no room for it.
Yeah, because you're involving them in your journey so that they understand what's going on and they also don't feel left behind.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you build your own support, and you need support, right? To be
Yes.
doing what you're doing. Could you have climbed that alone, really?
No, and I don't know if there's any goal that any of us could do alone.
Right.
I mean, whether we're using a mentor or a friend or someone to bounce ideas off of, or someone to remind us of who we are or why we're doing this thing when we have down moments, that's a part of the human experience. We're all interconnected, and just understanding that and helping people be a part of what you're doing benefits all of us.
And I just think what you said about, like, nobody gets to their goal all by themselves is really key for people to remember. That's why you have to involve people in your journey, because I find that to be true. I didn't win the fitness championship at Fitness Universe at 60 years old by myself. I had a lot of help. I had a lot of mentors and a lot of, along the way experiences. And so, like, nothing that you do that's really great in life that you've made it, like all by yourself. There's always mentors, there's always people that have helped you. And that's why it's so important to build that support system that you had.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want to ask you, you have like an amazing physique, Jenn. Is mountain climbing your big thing? Like, is that what gets you in such shape, or do you train to climb the mountain, or is the mountain the training?
It's a mix, right? So when I'm doing big mountains, you want to try to train as much as reality is going to be. So it involves a lot of hiking and things like that. But then you also want to cross train, because when you're on wobbly terrain, you have to make sure that your body knows how to balance itself when it's in different conditions. So I'll do Pilates, I'll do yoga, I'll do weightlifting, I'll do cycling, I'll do running, that's the fun thing about mountaineering. You can do so many different activities. It's just, what's the purpose of the activity? Flexibility, strength, or endurance. And I could mix up whatever that looked like to get to the end result.
What about eating? What
Oh
does
yeah,
that look
eating.
like?
Yes, eating is a thing, right? I have they call me junk food Jenny. Like, I love junk food and I have to watch it big time. So it's funny. I'll eat gummy bears when I'm doing big endurance days. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to do an endurance day because that means I can eat gummy bears today. But no, I eat pretty healthy. I'm definitely watching what I'm eating because if I want to perform at a high level, I have to fuel at a high level.
I mean, I love that it's such a healthy approach, truthfully.
Mhm.
And like, just again, I gotta say how amazing Jenn looks for anybody that's not watching the video, but you have to go follow her on Instagram at Jenn Drummond, correct? Is that right?
Yes. Yep. The Jenn
And
Drummond.
yeah, like she has an amazing, amazing motivational Instagram page. And like I was like amazed that you have 7 children and have such an amazing physique. How young are you?
I'm 43. So that helps too, right? Definitely helps.
Like I just think like it's an attitude too. Like you're
Is yeah. 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 Yeah.
like how you think about age. Like I'm thinking, what more can, oh, I gotta accomplish this. Oh, I chart this off my list. What more can I do? How much higher can I climb? And it just keeps you going and excited and thriving. What goals do you have now? Are you going to climb more mountains, or what is your focus?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm just keeping my health up so that opportunities show up. I'm available to take advantage of them. I have the book coming out in January that could be pre-ordered now, Quit Proof: 7 Strategies to Build Resilience and Achieve Your Life Goals. So that's a big that's a big mountain to get that book out there and published and sold. I love doing speaking engagements. I've been hired to take people on some smaller expeditions to get them out of the workforce and into the environment and challenging what fear feels like in their body to help them overcome. I'm doing a parenting challenge coming up in October. It's about connecting to our kids and our loved ones. Just because if I love challenges, it helps hold me accountable. It gives me some feedback and it gives me some tasks to stay on track. So I just keep setting my life up into these different little things that allow me to continue to grow.
And the biggest thing really is you just decided to choose how to live, and everybody can make that choice, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then whatever that looks like for you.
And
Definitely.
did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine yourself before that doing all of the things like climbing all these mountains, being on the Today Show? Let's talk about that. Did you
Yeah.
imagine that?
No, like I didn't. I was doing it for the experience. And then because I did it for the experience, you come so open-minded and curious, and then so much more becomes possible. I climbed in Africa and got to deliver a ambulance to a charity. I climbed in K2 and got to help sponsor the first Pakistani female to stand on top of her country's prized peak. I did all these things. It wasn't ever the end goal, but when we say, here's what I'm doing, here's where I am, it allows the universe to like latch onto that and say, oh, great, here, can you help me with this? Or can you be a part of this? Or you can do these different things. So learning to own where we are in our journey and being willing to wave that flag, whether we're at the bottom of the mountain or the top, allows so much more to be possible and things to come through you in that pursuit.
I have to say, I really find it interesting that you had your moment. You had this accident. I had some physical accidents where I had to literally reassess my identity because I had ripped almost every muscle from like my pelvis. And so
Oh,
like being doing what I did this year didn't seem possible. And I had to really surrender.
yeah.
I had to have that acceptance of
Hmm.
where I was, and I had to disconnect from all of the things before
Hmm.
to be able to. I don't know if I would have ever been the champion at Fitness Universe before, and I was in better shape. I was younger
Yeah.
and all the things. I really think it was more of like I just wanted to get up one more time,
Hmm.
and I couldn't let it go. I just kept dreaming I was doing this thing. And I thought if I can dream it, I can achieve it. and I got up one more time. And it wasn't about, like you said, it wasn't about that end goal. It was just about doing it. And I think that that's what the essence of what you said today. It's about just going after it.
Yeah, just appreciate it for what it is and just understand that if this drive or this vision keeps coming to you, it's yours. The universe wants you to have that experience to share with the world. And so step into that, however it looks, and play with it. Go out there and have a good time. This is life.
So good, so good. Tell me, what makes you quit proof? What would help the audience today, and some golden nuggets from your book on helping everybody to, when they set this goal, to be quit proof?
Okay, I think the biggest lesson is if you're going to go hard, you need to recharge hard. We cannot keep burning the candle without like refilling the wax, right? So we have to always make sure that whatever we're doing, we're counterbalancing so that we're coming from center. When you start getting off center, then you start getting wobbly and then things don't come together. So every day, just checking in yourself. Am I living how I want to live? Do I feel centered in what I'm doing? Am I recharging so I can come back tomorrow with the most energy possible to make the best out of this life?
What was your favorite thing about climbing the mountain?
Oh, there's so like that's like a loaded question. Who's your favorite kid? I loved the experience. Like I love the
Yeah.
people that I met.
Okay.
Mountaineering, when you get to different continents, like you're a minority as an American. And so you just learn different ways to do life or different perspectives or different things. And having that mental flexibility there gives you flexibility in all aspects of your life. And I'm very grateful for that.
And was there ever a moment that you wanted to quit, and how did you turn that around?
Oh, there's 1,000 moments I wanted to quit. The funny thing is the book is called Quit Proof. Thank goodness, because otherwise I probably would have quit it. Like it was such a struggle and a battle. I'm like, I can't quit a book called Quit Proof. Like that's not possible. And so, sometimes you wonder if the name was picked because that was the only way it'd be brought to life. So why do we celebrate mountaintops? We celebrate mountaintops because we said yes one more time than we said no.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
that's the
yeah.
whole thing. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's so good. So good today. Where, again, for everybody, let's get this book, Quit Proof.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
can everybody get your book? Where can they follow you again on social media? And what's your website?
Yes, perfect. So the book's available on Amazon right now. If you buy it and pre-order, I highly recommend it. We have a whole bunch of special treats and things coming to people that pre-order. You can find me at my website, www.jenndrummond.com. We'll have a whole bunch of videos and different fun things going on. And that also is the hub to all my social channels. So whatever your platform is, you can connect to me from there.
Perfect. And you did have like a special parent
Yeah,
challenge?
I do. So since I'm launching this Parenting Connection Challenge, if you're a parent, sign up and you can use the Parenting 50. So Parenting 50, and it'll get you 50% off the course.
Thank you so much. This has been so great. I admire you so much for all of your accomplishments and your energy, raising 7 kids, showing everybody what is possible if you choose to live your life.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And everybody, I think we're going to be quit proof after this. Thank you again. And thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat. And as always, keep on keeping on, everyone. Bye.